A new era of Cocktails in the War Room has begun. Welcome to episode 264 of Cocktails in the War Room. I am your host, Mistress Carrie, and tonight we take our little video show that started way back on March 14th of 2020, just on my iPhone, and now we take it multi-streaming, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and live on Instagram. Now, this is the first episode that we are going to be multi-streaming, so you can expect some mistakes and some issues. And as we have done for the previous 263 episodes, when you see a typo or a mistake or technical difficulties, it is a social and we must all drink, and that includes me. Welcome to the War Room. I am your host, Mistress Carrie. The War Room in my house. This is what we call it. It's always been the place where my collection of military memorabilia from my family was, all of the things that I brought back from my trips overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan, and it's also where the bar is. So way back in 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, we started getting together every night at 8:30 so that we could kind of talk about how crazy the world was getting. Obviously, tomorrow is a big anniversary for me, a very sad anniversary, which we will get to, but we're not going to dwell. And so we started getting together March 14th of 2020. We did 80 nights in a row, riding out the height of the pandemic. And when we launched the Mistress Carrie podcast in June of 2020, Cocktails in the War Room became the show that you know it as now, which is every Tuesday night at 8:30. Now, I believe if I can see Dina correctly, I am able to see the comments from YouTube and Facebook simultaneously. However, if you are watching on Instagram, and this is the first time that I'm going to try and stream the show on Instagram, I may not be able to see your comments. If somebody that is an OG member of the War Room family, which are the people that go all the way back to March 14th, could double check and let me know what it looks like on Instagram. I think the aspect ratio on the video is going to be different, so you're not going to be able to see all of the graphics. But for anybody that is new to the War Room, first of all, welcome. Second of all, let me know in the comments that this is your first time hanging out with us in the War Room, and also where you're watching from, so that the War Room family can welcome you properly. The OG family, we've been through a lot together. We've ridden through the pandemic together, the loss of my beloved WAAF, family illnesses, deaths, but we've also had so much to celebrate. Me starting my company and the launch of the podcast, getting engaged, getting married, all of the triumphs. This is basically the equivalent of an AMA, Ask Me Anything. And it's also something that we can talk about, anything, kind of be an online support group for. We talk about the podcast. We talk about what's going on in music, concerts, and basically just whatever is going on that week. And we do it every week, every Tuesday night at 8:30. So if you're new, welcome. Jason says, sorry, I'm late. Eric is here. Matt and Michael are joining us. Kevin and Donna, Bish and Tracy, Elsa and Ryan. Let's see. The radio was off and on during the test yesterday. Travis says, watching on Instagram, the aspect ratio is like your cell phone. The camera is set to your face, which makes sense. Good stuff, and congrats. So it's working. Now, I know there's different delays and all of that stuff, but this is my way every Tuesday night. And by the way, rules of the War Room, I am allowed to cancel a War Room get-together if something's going on that Tuesday night, if I don't feel well. But a couple of weeks ago, I was really sick. We canceled the War Room, and people were worried that the War Room was going to go away after 260 some odd episodes. And I had been planning beta testing, being able to multi-stream so that people that don't use Facebook, people that only use YouTube, people that have their YouTube channel hooked up to their smart televisions, now you can watch on Instagram, you can watch on YouTube, you can watch on Facebook. And as always, the old episodes are archived on mistresscarrie.com as well. If you are new to the War Room, there's a lot of shorthand. You're going to see in the comments a lot of jokes and inside references. If you go to the Cocktails in the War Room page at mistresscarrie.com, it's right there on the front. there is something we call the dictionary, which is basically our glossary and index of all of the inside jokes and all of the explanations in the context so that you don't get left behind. Did you fix the lag times? Keith wants to know. I don't have anything to do with the lag times. It's whatever the social media outlet takes to receive the stream and how long it takes to go back out on Facebook, on YouTube. So depending, it could be a few seconds, could be 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Jason says, glad you're feeling better. Don says, good evening, Carrie and War Room. Now, if you are new to the War Room, there's somebody you've got to meet. Maybe you know about her because you follow her on Instagram. Maybe not. But if you are not, Wednesday, come here. Over here. Say hi to everybody. If you're new to the War Room, if you're new to the Mistress Carrie universe, this is Wednesday. She is my co-host. She has been through everything together. That is where you can find her on Instagram at Wednesday the Goth Pug. And she is kind of here every Tuesday night to kind of be our comic relief and the Cookie Monster and the total pain in the ass. And for anybody that's new that doesn't know, she's going to be 6 in April. And we have tried to have her birthdays virtually here in the War Room every year. So, yeah, you get the pug cam. So what can you expect from Cocktails in the War Room if you are new? Every week we talk about headlines in music. We talk about concerts throughout the New England area. We talk about tours, music gossip that I've heard. We talk about last week's episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast. I always tell you who is coming up as my guest on the podcast this week. I tell you inside info on what you didn't hear in the episodes, fill you in on where you're going to be able to come and hang out with me, where you can listen to me on the radio, what charitable endeavors that we're doing. And basically, it's just a way for us every Tuesday night to talk about the things that we love, whether it be music, movies, streaming shows, things we're binging. Every once in a while, we talk about books that we're reading. Obviously, there's a lot going on in rock music, and there's a lot of new albums coming out. Artists like Pearl Jam coming out with new albums. Artists like the Black Crowes getting back together and releasing new music. Tours that are getting announced. Shows that are getting postponed. I also share photos from a lot of the different events that I go to and kind of give you backstage info on all of that. And we open mail. So coming up in the show, we'll do mail call and open up whatever came in the mail this week. Wednesday always gets very excited about mail call because she gets spoiled a lot by War Room family members, including all of her beverages over here as well. You can also tell what kind of cocktail I'm drinking based on cocktail container, copper mugs, me and Moscow Mules. So cheers to everybody that is new to the War Room. If you would like to not watch on Facebook, subscribe to the Mistress Carrie YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you're liking and following the Mistress Carrie podcast, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, or X, whatever we're calling it now, Facebook, all of those things. My Instagram handle is down at the bottom of the screen. Okay, sorry, I'm chugging it, but I was stressing out a lot trying to get the technology to work tonight. I beta tested the multi-streaming over the weekend, and yeah, it's a little bit insane. So, welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. You met Wednesday. I have a pocket full of cookies. It is how I bribe her to do cute things here in the... Come on, over here. You want to show all of the new people on YouTube your tricks? Sit down. Can I have your paw? Thank you. Can I have your other paw? Thank you. Down. Good girl. That's all the tricks. I apologize. I would be listening on YouTube, except I would miss all of the charming people that I have come to love here on Facebook, says Voorhees. So yeah, it really depends on where you want to watch and what comment feeds you want to be part of. I think in the short term, the Facebook feed is going to be a lot more active. I think now that people are starting to learn that you can watch Cocktails in the War Room live on YouTube, I think we're going to see a lot more people joining the War Room on YouTube. And it's awesome that I can see the YouTube comments in the comment thread that I have here in front of me so that I can say hi to everybody. So what's up, Teddy? Says, hey, Carrie and Wednesday. Brett just got here. I hope I didn't miss too much. Any idea what Wednesday will want for her birthday, says Jason. She's the most spoiled dog on the planet. she needs or wants for nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I have no idea. I do want to address the elephant in the room, obviously. For anybody that was familiar with my old radio show and my old radio station, WAAF, hard to believe, considering everything that we have gone through together here in the War Room, because we're getting ready to celebrate our 4th anniversary coming up on March 14th of Cocktails in the War Room. But February 21st of 2020 was the last night of broadcasting for WAAF. So 4 years ago tonight, we had done the second to the last day of shows. I got no sleep, was just exhausted and sad beyond belief, and went in on the Friday, did the last show, and Mike Shue and I got really drunk in the parking lot of the radio station afterwards. One of the things that we drank was a very expensive bottle of wine. And I say very expensive because the empty bottles are worth like $100 and something, I've been told. But we drank this very expensive bottle of wine out of the bottle, out of styrofoam cups, because that's how we roll. And I had no idea what happened to the bottle. Well, come to find out, our boss, Joe, had picked up the empty bottle in the studio and had saved it. And so tonight, in honor of the 4th anniversary of the loss of WAAF, which is coming up tomorrow, I wanted to show you guys the bottle, which is all real gold, which is why the bottle is worth so much money. And Joe signed it for me. And so this is on the shelf here in the War Room. It says, Mistress Carrie, you are exceptional. Horns up, AAF, February 21st, 2020. And so this is something that I treasure and I keep in the War Room. And I can't believe it's the 4th anniversary tomorrow, which is just crazy. Addressing the elephant trunk in the room. I'm not wearing pants, says Keith. To anybody that's new, by the way, there's a lot of pantsless jokes. Again, reference the dictionary on the Cocktails in the War Room page of mistresscarrie.com. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to tell you guys about, because I finally got an actual physical copy, this month's issue of Rolling Stone magazine actually has a whole huge multi-page article over here Wednesday about the downfall of WAAF, who bought it, why, how they bought it. And as somebody that's been in the music business for a really long time, I never thought in a million years that I would be in a Rolling Stone article, but I am. And so I was able to go and get physical copies. You can read the article online, but you can also go and get the February issue of Rolling Stone magazine with Dua Lipa on the cover right here. And you can read all about it. So I only bring it up because I know that tomorrow people's Facebook timelines and Instagram, all of that is going to come flooding back, because if you loved my former radio station, you posted about it on the last day. And so all of those memories are going to show up in your feed tomorrow. Now, over the years, a lot has happened in the last 4 years. For anybody that is not aware, I'm back on the radio. We're going to be talking about some of the radio shows tonight and where you can listen. We have also launched MistressCarrie.com. We have launched the Mistress Carrie podcast. We've launched the online Mistress Carrie store. So the further I get away from February 21st, 2020, the easier it is. And so many people come up to me still to this day and say, oh my God, I miss you on the radio so much, which I totally appreciate. But the other thing is, I'm still on the radio and I'm still around. So even though WAAF has been gone for almost 4 years, I haven't really gone anywhere. So if you're just finding me now on YouTube, if you're just finding me online, if I'm showing up in your algorithms now on Instagram or on Facebook, because all of those metrics and analytics are going to change as we start live streaming multi-platform. There's a lot that you can find. Just go to mistresscarrie.com. But the podcast we're going to talk about tonight is where all of the band interviews from my radio show are now, all of the new interviews. We're doing all of the same stuff. We're just doing it differently. And now they're unfiltered, they're portable, and I own the company, so I control what I do now. So it's all very exciting. And there's so much more to come. We are going to be doing some really, really cool stuff this summer. We're going to be doing a lot more nonprofit stuff, a lot more philanthropic stuff, volunteerism. We have got some really exciting stuff happening. So Wednesday wants back on the screen. What Wednesday? What? Can you just be good? We have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of new people on the show tonight. So can you be good, or do you have to make so much noise? Can I give you a cookie and then you can just be quiet? For anybody that's new, by the way, when I run out of cookies, she takes off and then comes back later on in the show when she thinks she may have gotten treats in the mail. That's how it works. She's spoiled that way. Over the weekend, I got to get together with some of my former WAAF brothers and sisters and bump into some of my very old friends. So I got to see Danielle and Mike Shue. I got to see, why is that camera not on? I got to see the guys in Sevendust. I got to see the guys in Static X. There we go. At the Palladium Sold Out Machine Killer show. I saw the guys in Dope. So I wanted to share some of the pictures. So, oh, by the way, that was a typo on the screen, so I have to drink. So Mike Shue, Danielle, and I were all hanging out watching Sevendust together, and it was like a total time warp, total high school reunion kind of a thing. If you're on Instagram, you might not be able to see all of the pictures, but all of the pictures I'm showing everybody, if you're watching on Instagram Live, are actually up on my Instagram profile, and you can see. This was me backstage right before Sevendust went on, and then obviously hanging out with Zero right before the show, before Static X, introducing the bands. Down here, that picture is thanks to Evil Rob, the concert photographer, getting me on stage, getting to introduce some of my oldest and dearest friends, and also where tonight's t-shirt came from. If you are not new to the War Room, you know that I have an extensive collection of concert t-shirts and hoodies. And you know that anytime that I get tickets to shows, if I don't buy the tickets myself, it has always been my long-standing rule that I buy merch from the bands to make sure that even if I got my tickets for free, that I'm supporting the bands. And so I opted for the Static X long sleeve. Those songs are so much fun for me to go and see them perform live again, because I have so many old memories of when Wisconsin Death Trip came out. So I opted for the shirt. Get up on this Wisconsin Death Trip, which is also an inside joke for my husband because he's from Wisconsin. I got this really great Sevendust hoodie as well. It was just too hot in the War Room with the wood stove for me to wear it. But it was so cool hanging out with Mike Shue and Danielle, seeing the Sevendust guys, seeing the Static X and Dope guys. It was awesome. Emily says, what a very cool show. You and Danielle never age, says Bish. Thank you. Good lighting and makeup always helps. How long has it been since Wayne Static died? You guys are going to have to Google that one for me, but I believe it's 7 years. It's been a while. And what I talked to the guys about before and after the show is that the rest of the guys in the band, like so many other bands that have had to deal with this, Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, Nirvana, AC/DC, bands have to kind of figure out, can we carry on without that member? Now, for a band like Led Zeppelin, as soon as John Bonham was gone, they said, no, Led Zeppelin cannot be. Obviously, we know the Beatles never got back together after John Lennon was killed. There are bands with William Duvall, with Alice in Chains, obviously Brian Johnson from AC/DC, Stone Temple Pilots is carried on. It is possible for these bands to continue. The way that Static X opted to do it is that they created Zero, the character, the mask, the wires, the LED eyes, because they didn't want the person singing for Static X to like be the new frontman. It was more of a way for the rest of the band members to be able to pay tribute to Wayne Static and to be able to play the music that they were a part of while keeping the focus on Wayne's legacy, which is why Zero has a mask on, because it's not about the person the person's face. It's about the legacy of the music. And so it was just great to be able to see the guys, and they are so grateful, the rest of the guys in Static X, to be able to go out and play this music that was just such a huge defining part of their lives. And even though they are still mourning the loss of Wayne Static, Static X is all of their bands too. And so, the Foo Fighters exactly have had to go on without Taylor Hawkins, and the Foo Fighters wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the passing of Kurt Cobain. So, this is how the guys in Static X have decided to continue the band and the legacy of the music. And Jason said it's been 10 years. He died in 2014. It doesn't seem possible. I thought 7 years seemed like a long time ago. The fact that the 10-year anniversary is coming up in November just blows me away. Hi, Honey Joan. Jerry Dyer says Zero sounds a lot like Wayne. Well, I think that's on purpose, that he is trying to pay as close a tribute as he can to Wayne Static and to do the music justice. Obviously, if he came out trying to sing in a different way, changing the tempo and the key of the song, slowing the songs down, they wouldn't have that same jump up and down kind of dance mosh pit vibe. And so they decided that Zero was going to do as close of a job as he could to paying tribute to Wayne and his legacy. So have you heard the new Kitty? It slaps. I have. I have also reached out to try and get Morgan on the Mistress Carrie podcast. So I believe it's going to happen. I just don't know when. So expect a Kitty episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast coming. Literally just watched a movie, Queen of the Damned, that had the song Cold from Static X in it. I love that song. And they played it the other night at the Palladium. Look how these 4 years went by, says Christine Henderson. Today is Kurt Cobain's birthday, Penny says. Exactly. It's also Jay Giles' birthday, but we'll talk about that in the birthday section of the show coming up. So the Static X Sevendust Dope Machine Killer tour sold out to the walls at the Palladium. The guys from Sevendust were just killer. They sounded great. They all looked great. John Connolly, I do want to tell you guys this, a little behind the scenes stuff. So when I was backstage with the Sevendust guys, while their intro music was playing and they were getting ready to go out on stage, I went over and asked John Connolly, who has been on the podcast, as has Clint Lowry and Morgan Rose, and LeJean has been here in the War Room with us. I asked John, how many miles did you run today? Because John Connolly ran the Boston Marathon last year as a charity runner, challenged by Mark Tremonti from Alter Bridge and Creed. There it goes, Wednesday. And he ran so fast last year as a charity runner that he qualified to get a bib for the marathon this year, which is just insane. He ran it in, I believe, 3 hours, 14 minutes and like 45 seconds or something. So he made it in under the wire for his age group. Wednesday, come here. Hey, come over here. So I asked John Connolly from Sevendust backstage, how many miles did you run? He told me, you know me so well, he actually got a ride and ran Heartbreak Hill and the Newton Hills twice before the show at the Palladium. Wednesday. Hey, come here. Wednesday, come over here. What has Mommy got? Come here. That's how she is. That's why she rules the show, because she's a giant pain in my ass. So he went and ran the hills twice, and then Sevendust did the full show, which is just insane. Jessica says Taylor Hawkins' anniversary of his passing is March 25th. It's been almost 2 years already. Kurt Cobain would have been 57, Carol says today, which is just crazy. Jessica says Clint Lowry and Sully go way back. They do. It's just crazy how all of these bands kind of knew each other, were in bands together, and then went off and did other bands, then toured together. It's crazy. Voorhees says pre-qualifying works the same way at the head of the Charles. Yeah, it's just a pizza delivery, says Michael Cole. No, it's not pizza. But yeah, it goes by age group, gender. And so for me, when I ran the marathon in 2019, my finishing time, 6 hours, 20 minutes, 54 seconds, would not qualify me for a bib if I were an 80-year-old woman. I ran as a charity runner, raised almost $18,000 for the home base program. I finished. There's no shame in any of it, but the qualifying times are really hard, even at upper age groups. And so for John Connolly in his first Boston Marathon in the pouring rain, to run it in 3 hours and 14 minutes and change and to get a bib and qualify for this year is just insane. We spent a lot of time talking about the marathon backstage before the show. Clint Lowry was like, oh, we hear about this all the time. I told John that he got to experience Boston, but he experienced it on a rainy day. I told him I'm really hoping that he gets a warmer, sunnier day so the crowds are bigger so he can really experience the love of the Boston Marathon crowd. For anybody that's joining us here in the War Room that is outside of New England, it's really hard to kind of wrap your brain around why a marathon is such a big deal to a region. But it's either the pinnacle of marathoning and running, but it is also a holiday in Massachusetts, Patriots Day, thus the title of the Mark Wahlberg movie. And it's also one of the biggest party days of the year and kind of a celebration of spring. And because it's a holiday in Massachusetts, the kids are off of school. And so it's a day for everybody to go out. The college kids are all day drinking along the marathon route. And if you grow up in New England, at one point or another, you have gone to the Red Sox game, which is always a home game on Marathon Monday. You have been in college in Boston, been into Boston with your parents, known somebody that's run. And so that's why the bombing was just so devastating for the region. It's because the marathon is just something that is something we all take such pride and love in. And so for a band like Sevendust and Static X too, to really have a home audience here in New England, for John Connolly to become such an amazing athlete, triathlete, endurance races, marathons, to be able to run Boston is pretty spectacular. And to qualify is it's just unbelievable. You can follow him, by the way, on like his Facebook and Instagram. And if you're really into running, I know Bish here is, follow John Connolly on his social media because his training, he talks a lot about how he staggers his runs, his nutrition, what he wears, his shoes, all of that stuff. So if you're going to get really nerdy and into the weeds of running, you definitely want to follow John Connolly from Sevendust. Let's see. You betcha, says Melissa. Steak dinner and then a sundae. Ice cream after you run. That's what I did, 100%. Bish says, I've run over 8,000 miles in 11 years, which is just unbelievable. It's just insane. All right, so I showed you guys the pictures from the show. If you are new and you're just tuning in, you're watching on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook now, I want to let you know some of the places that you can come and hang out with me. So if you were not aware, you can hear me every weekday afternoon on 100 FM The Pike out of Worcester. You can go to pikefm.com, stream the station, download the Pike app. This Friday and once a month, it's Feel Good Fridays at Waterfront Mary's in Webster. And I am going to be there this Friday from 5:30 to 7:30 to help you kick off your weekend. They do food specials. We've always got prizes to give away, playing music, trivia games, all of that stuff. So I'll be in Webster at Waterfront Mary's right on Lake Webster this Friday from 5:30 to 7:30. Any events and concerts that we talk about on the show are always up in the concert and event calendar at mistresscarrie.com. They've announced the Hair Fest, which is going to be at Indian Ranch in Webster on July 20th. It's a Saturday afternoon. Music starts at noon. It's all of the best 80s cover bands. It's a day drinking extravaganza filled with mullets and spandex pants and giant hair. And it's so much fun. Mike Shue, Chuck Perks, and I from the Pike are all going to be there for the 2024 Pike Hair Fest. And also the big gig is coming up, which started coming out of the ashes of the former WAAF Big Gig 3 is April 27th at the DCU Center, featuring Stained, Seether, Asking Alexandria, and Tim Montana. Tickets are on sale now. That's at the DCU Center in Worcester. The official after party is going to be across Commercial Street at Off the Rails with Paper Cut, the Linkin Park tribute. It's going to be immediately following the big gig. Tickets for the official after party are also on sale, and the details on all of those things are up in the concert calendar at mistresscarrie.com. If you were not aware, you can also listen to me every weekday afternoon from 3 to 7 on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine. You can go to 1063rocks.com or 1063thebone.com. Download the Bone app. So it depends on the kind of music you like. If you like more classic rock, more grunge stuff, listen to 100 FM The Pike in Worcester. If you like your music heavier and newer, you can listen to 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine. And I do afternoons on both places. And you can also hear me on a bunch of other stations around the country doing rock and classic rock as part of the network for Westwood One. And you can hear me on AFN overseas. So the Armed Forces Network. You can hear me on the military bases and all of the Navy ships. So if you are active duty military, you can check out AFN. Make sure you listen to Freedom Rock, which is the rock station, and you can hear me on there. Every week we go through the cocktail books. We are budding bartenders here in the War Room, trying to put to use some of the booze you might have laying around, especially when we were locked down during the pandemic. We were trying to get creative. So I thought tonight, since we were celebrating multi-streaming on YouTube and Instagram, along with Facebook for this week and every week moving forward of Cocktails in the War Room, I wanted a drink that was going to include champagne. This is called La Dolce Vita. It is an ounce of vodka, 5 seedless grapes, a teaspoon of honey, and dry sparkling wine or Prosecco, dry champagne. It says, muddle the grapes in a shaker, add the vodka and honey and shake, strain into a champagne flute, fill with Prosecco and serve. And we're always here in the War Room looking for interesting ways to garnish our cocktails. I have seen so many TikTok videos about these champagne grapes. Have you seen these things where you soak the grapes, you like roll them in Kool-Aid and like freeze them? This would be the perfect application for champagne-soaked grapes that you freeze and then they could float in this drink. But it's called La Dolce Vita, and I thought vodka, you guys know that's my jam, with grapes, some honey, and some Prosecco. Sounded kind of delicious. So that's this week's cocktail. Bish says, the Bone Zone. Holy cow, you are busy, says Lou. We got a lot going on. Plus the podcast every week, the video show. Let's see. Frozen grapes as well, 100%. Remember when you talked on the air on AAF about a drink that had a mummified finger in it? I do remember that, actually, that it was this crazy bar. And I mean, when you go into the boonies, I think it was like up in like Alaska, and there was this mummified finger, and it cost a lot of money and it was super disgusting, but it had a drink that had literally a mummified finger in it. Taking like the worm and the tequila to a whole new level. Disgusting. Just so gross. But yes, I do remember that. Sounds delicious and trouble in a glass, says Jessica. I agree. Marcy wants to know how the wolf pack is. So for anybody that's new to the show, the wolf pack is what I call the husband and the kids. All of us together are called the wolf pack. The husband's nickname is Mr. C, so you can refer to him as that if you want. But the wolf pack is good. We're planning a birthday party right now. School is happening. We're starting to talk about summer vacation stuff. But where the kids are in North Carolina, they don't get February school vacation. And so they did get the 3-day weekend for President's Day, but they went back to school today. Whereas a lot of people in the Northeast, this is their kids' week off. Most people are down in Florida trying to get out of the cold weather, although this winter has not been that bad. But the kids and my husband are great. So thank you for asking. Lou says, I had frozen strawberries today. They were gross. Now, frozen strawberries floating in the La Dolce Vita would be delicious. All right. Let's see. What are we doing? Let's recap last week's podcast episode. So last week on the podcast, we got introduced to the other Jack from Dead Poets Society. There are two guys named Jack. Jack Underkoffler is the lead singer. He was on episode 50 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. Jack Collins is the guitar player from Dead Poets Society. He is my guest last week on episode 193. These guys met and formed this band at Berklee College of Music in Boston. They are going to be at Sinclair in Cambridge coming up on May 6th. And Jack Collins actually did the interview while driving to rehearsal to work out the final set list for their European tour. Their new album, Fission, is available now. Yes, Wednesday is totally poking her little cute fuzzy face into the bottom corner of the screen. What are you doing? Are you being good? Are you done barking? Because it was not very nice that you were barking in the middle of the show, right? You know that, right? You hit your mark every time. You know exactly where to sit, right? Your little bunny feet. So can you just hang out and be chill and be cute? Say hi to everyone that's new on the show on YouTube and Instagram. Can you do that? Okay, thank you. So if you missed last week's podcast episode yet, these guys are great. If you have not checked them out yet, they're basically a local band because they formed at Berklee. And Jack even said in last week's episode that you don't even have to go to Berklee, but just if you're looking to start a band, just the blocks around Berklee, if you just go there and kind of hang out in the coffee shops, the pizza places, he said it is the best place in the entire country, even better than LA, to try and start a band. So there you go. This week's episode is a little bit different. What I try to do with the Mistress Carrie podcast, for anybody that hasn't checked it out yet, it is a rock lifestyle podcast. So we talk to the new bands that you may never have heard of before that maybe you would have gotten turned on to on a station like WAAF or now on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine. But I also want to keep you in touch with all of the bands that you have loved over the years. And I also introduce you to instrument manufacturers, roadies, techs, authors. We still do a lot of the veteran stuff, and it always comes back to the music and traveling and the food and all of the things that we all have in common. So last week was episode 193 featuring Jack Collins from Dead Poets Society. This week, we're going back a little ways. Last week, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced the nominations for induction into the class of 2024. Fan voting is open now and is open until April 26th. As of now, the top three vote getters are Ozzy Osbourne, Peter Frampton, and Foreigner. So this week, the original bass player or the bass player from the height of Foreigner, Rick Wills, is my guest on episode 194. Now, he grew up in England, grew up with David Gilmour from Pink Floyd, who he talks extensively about in this week's episode. And he played for Cochise. He has played for Foreigner. He joined Bad Company for a bit. He covered bass for Lynyrd Skynyrd for about 7 months. He moved from England and now lives half the year in Florida, which is where he is right now, and spends the warm weather months in New Hampshire, which I had no idea about. So Rick Wills from Foreigner is my guest this week. We talk about what got him started playing the bass, growing up with David Gilmour from Pink Floyd, being in Cochise. He talked about everything from Brian Epstein, the producer of the Beatles. He talked about being in Bad Company. He talked about why he doesn't tour with Foreigner anymore. However, he does usually go and jump up on stage with the band, especially when they play at the Bangor, New Hampshire Pavilion, because it's close to where he lives and he loves the venue. And so there's a lot to talk about with Rick Wills from Foreigner. By the way, this picture is all of the original members of Foreigner and all of the members that have taken over the years. And Rick is right there. But you guys are going to love this episode. He's super cool. And he There are a lot of artists that don't care about the Rock Hall. The guys in Oasis have basically told the Rock Hall to go F themselves. That's how Ozzy felt for a long time about the Rock Hall. And he has obviously changed his tune as he's gotten older and as he's been nominated as a solo artist. But it's really interesting when you hear from a guy like Rick from Foreigner that is just so proud of the body of work. And I read this stat. Foreigner has more top 10 hits than Journey and has the same number of top 10 hits as Fleetwood Mac. And so he looks at it like, this is a way that our legacy is going to be solidified. This is a way that the music is being celebrated and how it is going to live on long after we're gone. And so he's super proud that they have been nominated for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And, but he also is worried that they're not going to get in if people don't vote for them. And so he really wanted to come on the show to encourage people to vote for Foreigner in the fan voting in the Rock Hall. Go to vote.rockhall.com. I put the link in the show notes of this week's episode. All of the weekly episodes that come out every Wednesday actually go live at midnight. So this episode, number 194, featuring Rick Wills from Foreigner, is going to go live at midnight tonight. If you are not aware and you subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast, you're going to get the weekly episodes, but you're also every weekday going to get a sit rep really early in the morning. It uploads super, super early. So no matter what time you get up to start your day, you're going to get rock news, music headlines, entertainment updates, album releases, tour announcements, pre-sale codes, all of that kind of stuff. And it's right around 5 minutes. It's usually a little bit longer. It depends on how much news there is that day. But the sit rep you get Monday through Friday. And if you're wondering where you can listen to the Mistress Carrie podcast, the short answer is everywhere. The long answer is all of these places and then some. All of the big podcast outlets, Apple, Google, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeart, Deezer, Podcast Republic, Pandora, Pocket Cast, Amazon. You can check out all of the episodes at mistresscarrie.com if you don't listen to podcasts on a podcast app. Or you can also listen to all of the episodes on my YouTube channel as well. They are only the audio episodes right now. I have not gotten into releasing the video of my interviews yet, but all of the full-length episodes, all the sit reps are all on my YouTube channel. And we're holding strong at 149 countries around the world that are listening to the Mistress Carrie podcast, which is still a pretty spectacular statistic that I'm super proud of. Not really sure how we're going to color the rest of that map in, but we got to figure it out because we got to fill in all of these countries. We were talking about it earlier, and here's my next typo of the day because I didn't fix the birthdays. These were all the birthdays from last week. Today's birthdays, Jay Giles and Kurt Cobain. There's my social for the typo. So if you're celebrating your birthday today on February 20th, happy birthday. If you're new to the War Room, we always cheers to Keith and his unbirthday. So happy unbirthday to you, Keith. Just cut out for a second. Is it back? This is the first day of the streaming. So the multi-streaming, you never know. I figured there'd be a hiccup or two. I am drinking, Melissa. 149 countries and counting. All right, so let's talk about some music news. Serj Tankian from System of a Down is coming out with his long-awaited memoir coming up on May 14th. It's called Down with the System. Pearl Jam have announced their upcoming new album, Dark Matter, set for release on April 19th. The title track is out now, and it is a ripper. If that is what the record sounds like, old school Pearl Jam is back. The album is produced by Andrew Watt, who's been working with everybody from Post Malone to obviously the last couple solo Ozzy albums. The guys from Pearl Jam said Andrew Watt pushed him to work really fast. Eddie Vedder said it is the band's best work to date. This is coming from the guy that wrote and recorded 10, which is arguably one of the greatest albums of all time, followed up by arguably one of the greatest sophomore albums of all time, Versus. And he's saying that Dark Matter is their best work. AC/DC have announced and put for sale their European tour dates, including 2 dates at Wembley in July. They have not announced any North American tour dates yet. So fingers crossed that after 7 years, and they finally reunited with Brian Johnson, that AC/DC is going to announce tour dates, but we don't have them yet for North America. We also got a 30-second snippet of the new Linkin Park. It's called Friendly Fire. It's a track that was recorded back in 2017 during the recording sessions for their final studio album. We heard rumors, and we've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks, that a new Linkin Park song was going to come out that's been in the vault, and it's called Friendly Fire. Rumor has it we're getting it before the end of February. If you haven't heard the teaser yet, just like when we got Lost last year off of the Meteora box set, hearing Chester singing a Linkin Park song we've never heard before is both amazing and tragic and sad all at the same time. And so this song sounds amazing. So we don't have it yet, but we know that it's coming. There are some concert changes and some new additions to the concert calendar. Now, these are tour dates in New England because that's where I am. But obviously, if you're watching Cocktails in the War Room on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook from somewhere outside of New England, if the tour is coming to New England somewhere, it's coming to an arena or a club near you. So just check your local listings. The TD Garden is going to host Incubus Morning View coming up on August 31st. The band is going to be releasing a new version of that album on its 23rd anniversary, and they're going to have newly reworked versions of the songs. Coming to the DCU Center, Big Gig 3, we already talked about it, April 27th with Stained, Seether, Saint Asonia, and Tim Montana. New to the DCU Center this fall, Silver Scream Con 3. This gets put together by Spencer Charnas and the guys from Ice Nine Kills. It's going to be music. It's going to be vendors. It's going to be autograph signings. It's going to be screenings. If you love horror and gore, you are going to love Silver Scream Con that is expanding this year, September 13th through the 15th at the DCU Center in Worcester. And Iron Maiden is going to be at the DCU coming up on November 6th. If there are any tickets left to Maiden, they are on sale now. Silver Scream Con tickets are on sale now. Set It Off, Crown the Empire, and Starset headed to Big Night Live. Again, all of these shows are listed on the concert calendar at mistresscarrie.com. The Xfinity Center and the outdoor amphitheater tours are going to be huge this year. Hardy, Alanis Morissette, Limp Bizkit, Styx and Foreigner, the Doobie Brothers, ZZ Top and Lynyrd Skynyrd, 30 Seconds to Mars, Creed with Three Doors Down and Finger 11, Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie are all going to hit the Xfinity Center in Mansfield this year. A lot of these tours are also going to be hitting the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion. I know the Creed tour is, but it's going to have a different lineup. So just tons and tons and tons of shows that are going to be coming to the area this year. Adam Ant is going to be at the Wilbur coming up on April 1st. Steve Vai and Joe Satriani. This is before the Best of All Worlds tour where Joe Satriani is going out with Sammy Hagar. But that's going to be at the Orpheum April 5th. The Loaded Greatest Hits Tour with Bush is going to be at the Leaderbank Pavilion August 24th. That's going to be with Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains and Candlebox, and those tickets are on sale now. There are also the Sasanta Tour, which is going to be at the Box Center Wang Theater for 2 shows, April 2nd and 3rd. That is Primus, Pussifer, and A Perfect Circle, celebrating Maynard James Keenan's 60th birthday. My guest last week on the podcast, Dead Poet Society, will be at Sinclair May 6th. The Stones are going to be at Gillette May 30th, and Metallica is finally bringing the M72 World Tour to Gillette on August 2nd and 4th, Friday night, Sunday night. Night number 1, Mammoth WVH and Pantera. Night number 2 is going to be the aforementioned Ice Nine Kills and Five Finger Death Punch. And don't forget, Metallica does Metallica takeovers, so you can expect a bunch of other events around these shows taking place at Patriot Place and around Boston. Pop-up shops, book signings, whiskey tastings, cover bands. It's like the circus is coming to town. Let's see. Elsa says, Louise, happy birthday. I hope your birthday wishes come true. Happy birthday, Louise. Let's see. A bunch of other shows are going to be coming. That includes Fenway Park, Hootie and the Blowfish, Collective Soul, the Bare Naked Ladies, and Edwin McCain on June 21st. The Foos sold it out July 21st, Blink-182 July 23rd, Def Leppard, Journey, and Heart August 5th, and Green Day, Smashing Pumpkins, Rancid, and the Linda Lindas sold out Fenway on August 7th. Pearl Jam just announced the 2 shows at Fenway on September 15th and 17th. However, you had to pre-register to be able to buy these tickets by 2:59 a.m. yesterday. They are doing everything they can to keep these tickets out of the bots and out of the scalpers' hands. And these are going to be really hard to get tickets because they're going to sell out. They got 2 shows at Madison Square Garden, 2 shows at Wrigley Field. This Pearl Jam tour is going to be massive. So 2 shows at Fenway, huge. At the Palladium, Queensryche and Armored Saint. That's happening April 27th. Nita Strauss with Diamante and Starbenders on March 12th. Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. This just got announced. Now, this band features Jason Todd, the original guitarist from Shinedown, the guitarist that plays on the original Mistress Carrie version of Simple Man. This is where Jason Todd from Shinedown is now. Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. Ever since Brent Smith did that Simple Man 20th anniversary episode of the podcast, I have been texting like crazy with all of the guys in Shinedown and all of the old members as well. And I cannot wait to see Jason. He's going to be in town at the Palladium May 18th. These tickets, by the way, go on sale this Friday. And also, Mass Concerts, who books all the shows at the Palladium, is also bringing the NoFX finale tour August 31st and September 1st to Campanelli Stadium in Brockton. And those tickets are on sale now. The MGM Music Hall at Fenway, we got a change you guys need to know about. So the Dropkick Murphys are going to be at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway March 15th, 16th, and 17th. The week leading up to St. Patrick's Day on the 17th, of course. Porno for Pyros on their farewell tour. The show has been moved to the House of Blues. The show's still happening on March 5th. Here's the thing. The tickets for the MGM are not going to work at the House of Blues. So I have given away some tickets already for Porno for Pyros to Mistress Carrie. Wait, the hiccups. Hold on. I have given away Porno for Pyros tickets to backstage pass holders. They notified me today that they are canceling the MGM Music Hall Porno for Pyros tickets and reissuing me tickets for the House of Blues. So if I gave you tickets to Porno for Pyros for the MGM, those tickets aren't worth shit. And I need to issue you new tickets, but I don't have them yet, but they are coming. So just a note that if you want to go see Porno for Pyros, or if you are holding tickets, whether I gave them to you or not, tickets for the MGM are not going to work at the House of Blues. They're going to be reissuing new tickets that will work at the House of Blues. Also at the MGM, Guster on March 30th, Judas Priest on April 25th, The Black Crowes on April 28th, Bad Religion and Social D on May 7th, and Gary Clark Jr. on June 7th. Good night, Michael. I might need a ride to see Judas Priest now that I don't have a car. Bish, you got to get a car. You can't run everywhere. All right, House of Blues shows, just like I told you. Porno for Pyros, now on the calendar at the House of Blues from the MGM on March 5th. Alkaline Trio March 10th. The Dropkicks are going to kick off St. Patrick's Day week at the House of Blues for one show on March 14th. Blackberry Smoke on March 21st. Architects on May 6th. And Black Veil Brides on May 8th. I feel like a weatherman. I'm never going to get used to everything being backwards, but I'm getting better at it. Pete Bouchard, the meteorologist, would be so proud. Coming to the Paradise Rock Club, Code Orange is going to be there on the 25th. Matisyahu, who has been going through a lot, had some shows get canceled because the staff of the venue didn't want to work a show because he's Jewish, because of what's going on in Gaza, which I could not believe when I read that. Just because someone is a practicing Jew, you're now going to boycott and not want to work their shows? Let's just take stock in what's going on. You want to argue politics? You want to argue what's going on in Gaza? If you're going to start punishing all Jewish people for what's going on in Gaza right now, I mean, where are we at? I think it's time that people really start thinking about what the hell's going on. I bring it up because Roger Waters, formerly of Pink Floyd, got really mad at Bono. Now, people have gone back and forth about Roger Waters. David Gilmour from Pink Floyd has come straight out and called Roger Waters anti-Semitic. Roger Waters has gone back and forth saying, I'm not anti-Semitic. I just support the Palestinian people, whatever it is. So Bono on stage at the Sphere played a show or played a song and dedicated it to all of the kids that got killed by Hamas at the music festival, which I thought we could all agree that slaughtering hundreds of people and kidnapping 150 others, I thought everybody agreed that that was bad. Everybody. I thought that was a universal thing, that unless you support Hamas, that everybody could agree that it was slaughter. And we've heard the stories about the rape and the torture and the murder. Some hostages have been released, and the stories they have said have just been horrifying. There are families where the husband was killed, the mother and the kids were kidnapped. It's crazy. Bono dedicated a song to the people that were killed at that music festival. And Roger Waters got mad about that. I'm just saying. I think people have gone to crazy town at this point. If we all can't agree that people getting killed at a music festival is a tragedy, regardless of what religion they practice. Yeah. So anyway, Matisyahu's been going through a lot because he's just trying to tour, and because he's a practicing Jew, there have been people in clubs that don't want to work because he's touring there. The person who called attention to this, by the way, was David Draymond from Disturbed, who's been posting about this stuff a lot. So Matisyahu's going to be at the Paradise on March 16th. Girls' School is going to be at the Paradise on March 29th. Music, new releases this week. Ace Frehley releasing his 7th solo album since leaving Kiss. 10,000 Volts comes out on Friday. The Cult is releasing Dreamtime, the vinyl reissue. MGMT is releasing Loss of Life, and Motorhead is releasing the Lost Tapes. So this is all coming out on Friday. By the way, they released the list of all the releases for Record Store Day coming up on April 20th. It is extensive. Releases from hundreds of artists. This Record Store Day is going to be awesome. All right, mail call. The only thing that came in the mail today, so Wednesday, don't move over there because I don't think you... Here she comes. Wednesday, were you looking for mail call? Were you waiting for mail call and now you're back? Back up so everybody can see your cute fuzzy face. There you go. So mail call this week. Let's see. Mistress Carrie, you are the rock world's mother monster. I think this card was supposed to come with the Lady Gaga t-shirts that came in the mail last week. That's what fans call Gaga because we are her monsters. It says, this is me, Eric, trying to make you, Mistress Carrie, a monster. P.S. Hope your breath is minty fresh and you like the shirts, especially the oh so hot and steamy blueberry cobbler. So this, for some reason, arrived late, Eric, but I got the card. Thank you very much. If you were in the War Room last week, you saw all the hilarious stuff that he sent me, including the Lady Gaga t-shirts and the mints that are shaped like penises. Yes, my breath is minty fresh. Thank you very much. All right, want to let you guys know what's going on in the online store. So I was messaging back and forth with the guys at Vader Drumsticks. Mistress Carrie drumsticks are on the way. They go into production next week. I will have them soon. Super excited. No, I don't play the drums, but now that we have Mistress Carrie guitar picks in the online store, I thought having Mistress Carrie drumsticks made by Vader Percussion are going to be available for purchase in the online Mistress Carrie store, and they're on the way. I still have not figured out how I'm going to mail them to people yet. I'm going to have to come up with new packaging. but it is definitely going to happen. We are working on the final designs and they go into production soon, and I'm super excited. If you don't have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass yet, let me tell you about it quickly. First of all, you can get it on Patreon. Second of all, one of the things we do is monthly live streams. If you do have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, let's get together on Sunday night. I will message you guys on Patreon so we can get together before my trip to Vegas, which I'm leaving next week to go to Vegas for a few days. I'm taking you guys with me, obviously, but I'm not going to be leaving until after the War Room next week. So no War Room live in Vegas. We're not going on deployment next week, but let's go. Let's do our monthly live stream next week, or this Sunday, I should say. So if you have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass already, I will message you the time and the link. If you don't have a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, we get together once a month, kind of like here in the War Room, but we talk a lot more about future plans. We work out ideas. You guys give me feedback on merch stuff. I fill you in on stuff that I'm not allowed to broadcast yet. There's a lot of really cool stuff that's in the works. So we talk about all of that stuff. I tell you who's going to be coming up on upcoming episodes of the Mistress Carrie podcast. So you can submit questions. You get travel blog updates. So I'm always updating you guys on places that I like to go. So I just sent updates to people recently because of Key West. If you're going to Vegas, I can give you tips, but I always take you guys with me. When I went to Sturgis last year, I was always updating you guys on what I was doing and where I was going. Of course, now Wednesday is, hey, what are you doing? Don't do that. It's not good for the couch. You also get early access to event tickets, and you get exclusive concert ticket giveaways. I have tickets for Point Over Pyros for people with a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, but know that the show got moved from the MGM. It's now at the House of Blues, and I'm waiting on the tickets. But I always have tickets to give you guys. And when the drumsticks come out or any new merch, you guys always get discount codes so that Backstage Pass holders get discounted merchandise as well. So get yourself a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass. Just go on Patreon, look up Mistress Carrie. You can also find me on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Cameo, YouTube. And you can find the Mistress Carrie podcast on Instagram and on Threads as well. All the links are at mistresscarrie.com. And a reminder that if you want to listen to me on 100 FM The Pike every weekday afternoon, download the Pike app or go to pikefm.com. If you like your music a little more classic, if you like it a little newer and a little heavier, you can listen to 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine every weekday from 3 to 7. You can go to 1063thebone.com, download the Bone app, you can stream the station, and all of those links, like I said, are at mistresscarrie.com. So there you go. Live streaming on Instagram, live streaming on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're going to start doing a lot more of this stuff. I have a lot of plans for really cool things we're going to do this summer. For the OG War Room members that have been watching on Facebook, we have been talking about the ability to multi-stream and be able to incorporate all of the different Mistress Carrie social media outlets and be able to stream simultaneously. I think we're finally figuring it out. I'm super excited about it. Heidi says, Mistress Carrie, you need your own liquor. Look, I have said this before. If a brewery wants to work on a Mistress Carrie beer, if there is a liquor company that wants to work on a spirit of some kind, I love all of these ideas and would love nothing more than eventually to have a page on mistresscarrie.com for all of the different things. I'd love to have my own coffee, booze, snacks, whatever it is. I just want to take over the world one thing at a time. And I want to have a whole section on mistresscarrie.com for all of that stuff. But I would love to have my own booze. So if anybody knows anybody that has their own brewery or distillery or something, Jason wants to know, do I know how Steven Tyler is doing? So I haven't talked to him. However, he was seen on the red carpet Grammy weekend. He also has been posting up on Instagram. He said that his voice has been better, but that it is getting better. So it's still not 100%. Joe Perry said before New Year's that Aerosmith was going to hit the road again this summer or fall. So I think he's slowly recovering. Mia Tyler, Steven Tyler's daughter, did an interview like a few weeks ago. And she was basically like, we have to yell at Dad to stop calling us because he's not supposed to be talking. So he's not following all of the doctor's orders because it's got to be kind of hard for a guy like that to not talk, especially when he's got adult kids that don't all live in the same area. But from everything that I've heard, his voice is on the mend, and Aerosmith is planning on rescheduling the Peace Out Farewell Tour. Marcy says sweatpants, working on those. Absolutely. Heidi wants to know how mom is. Thank you for asking. Mom has settled in. I was with her this morning. She's settling in at her new place. She is not getting any better, but the fact that she is able to have so many more guests and so much more company, she's been a lot more outgoing, we've been told, a lot more responsive. She's been snacking and eating a lot better. So mom is good. My stress level is a lot lower now that mom has been moved a little closer to home, which has been great. So Annette says they need to teach Steven Tyler how to text. Yeah, exactly. He's on vocal rest. I would assume so. He fractured his trachea. I would assume he's on vocal rest. Liquor in the front, poker in the rear. Really, Keith? Good for Steven and for Aerosmith. Jason says prayers to your mom. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We've been waiting for a lot of episodes to finally start to get everybody on all of the platforms under one roof. So if you are new to Cocktails in the War Room, if this was your first time, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Every Tuesday night, your opportunity to ask me questions, talk about music, find out what's going on. Super excited that we have now incorporated Instagram and YouTube into the War Room family, of course, with the OGs here on Facebook. So really excited that everybody joined me tonight. And it seems like it worked. So pretty spectacular. All right. Episode 194 of the Mistress Carrie podcast comes out at midnight tonight. My guest this week, a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominee, Rick Wills from Foreigner, joining me on episode 194, and it goes live at midnight tonight. And 4 years, guys. We've been through a lot since February 21st, 2020. To the former WAF, to all of my former coworkers, to everybody that listened and supported, and to everybody that has been so amazing in the 4 years since February 21st of 2020. I can't believe it's been 4 years already. It doesn't seem possible, but that time, because of COVID and the lockdown, has kind of made it all a little weird. 4 years ago tonight, I never could have believed or imagined where we would all be together 4 years later. So I'm very grateful for you guys. 4 years ago, the bottom dropped out of my life, and you guys helped me build it up again. And that's why you guys are so special to me. So cheers to you guys. Thank you so much. I'll be back with you next Tuesday night, right here in the War Room. Thank you guys to everybody that joined us on YouTube and Instagram. Hope you had a good time here in the War Room, and I hope you come back.